Hey horror fans, thanks for joining me for this review of Godzilla vs. Kong. Alright, the so called epic showdown that we've waited for months and years and months and years and COVID and so forth, pushing it back and bringing it forward and back and so forth. Um, Finally getting it. So I'm sure if you're checking this review out, you're interested in either Godzilla or Kong or the whole monster universe there. So let's see what this is all about. The plot here on IMDb, to start, doesn't really tell us anything that we don't already know. The epic next chapter in the cinematic Monsterverse pits two of the greatest icons in motion picture history against one another. The fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance. Yeah, again, that doesn't really tell us anything. We don't know. Um, So let's see. Just to start, I'm gonna try to keep this as spoiler free. There is something I kind of want to mention about the end of the movie. Hopefully that doesn't spoil it for you. It's not really a winner or loser here, but just about kind of expectations and what sort of happens. I'll try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. So I guess you've been sort of warned. Um, with that, I'm also going to say that I'm not the biggest, most well versed Kong and Godzilla um, knowledgeable of their whole universes here. Obviously, Kong and Godzilla have fought different creatures specifically. I think Godzilla has fought all kinds of these different monsters over the course of time in all kinds of different movies and versions and so forth. And some of them you're gonna see some other ones here in this movie. Um, I'm not as familiar with some of them as maybe other people are. So you'll have to excuse me on that point. But um, there are some other monsters that do appear here and there, and I guess they will be recognizable to some fans if, for those who are wondering. With that, I think we've seen a couple of Kong movies now and a couple of recent Godzilla movies here, all leading to this point. And I guess there's a couple of things to talk about, and special effects is one, and I'll get to that in a second. I think the first thing I want to mention that kind of always distracts me in this movies, in these kind of movies, and I obviously understand why it happens, but it's just the so much focus on humanity and human characters and so forth. I know that it's hard to keep Godzilla or keep Kong on the screen the entire time, and they don't speak, and it is all special effects. So it's hard to have a movie just with them. Um, so I get that point, but I think where that's also a fault is that's what you want to see. That's what you came to see. That's what you want to see. Um, so you want them on screen as much as possible, and so you have to strike that balance. And I think in some of either the Kong movies or the Godzilla ones leading up to this point, that was one of the things that kind of turned me off was that whenever they started focusing too much on the human characters, and we've seen this in other type of movies as well. But that kind of distracts me and kind of throws me off, especially when I start really not caring about those characters. Then it becomes a huge problem. Um, but I think one of the things in this movie is I think it seemed to be well balanced in that respect. I don't think they spent so much time on any of the human characters that it kind of interfered too much. As far as with Kong, there's a little girl who can't speak but signs to him, and it has that special connection with Kong and becomes an important piece of the puzzle as the story goes on. So obviously you kind of get that angle, but maybe because she can't speak, or maybe because um, she's kind of there on the side. She's not as distracted. There is a few other characters, obviously her mom and a few other characters that then get attached to her. That they do streamline a bit, but I don't think it ever pulls away. Um, I think one of the things it does do in the movie is that kind of hides what comes later. Again, I'm going to be as spoiler free as possible here, but um, and maybe those who are more versed in this universe here, maybe they expected this to happen or knew this was going to happen with the way this movie goes. Um, but there is obviously a bad side here at work, and as part of it, and since there's not a lot of humanity time in this movie or so forth, it didn't seem well explained. You kind of see it falling, and kind of just see it happen. And I guess maybe if you went back and revisit the other movies, maybe it's there and more present, and there's a little bit of reference. And I get it. I've seen the movies and I kind of pieced it together. I just thought as far as this movie standalone, they didn't do a whole lot to kind of set that up. I guess you had to basically know where this story was going. Um, and then on the Godzilla side, there's another obviously humanity story as well. Um, the scientist that's studying him is there a little bit, but not as much as you would expect. It's more of his daughter, um, that plays a role with another guy, with a friend of hers, and then another guy, which almost kind of shares the comic relief here of the story. Um, it's funny in some parts, a little annoying, but you kind of just roll with it. Um, but I think overall I was pleasantly surprised, by the time they shared or gave screen time to Kong and Godzilla. More specifically, Kong. I don't know. It's Godzilla versus Kong. Um, I don't know. If it could have been Kong versus Godzilla, or they just did it alphabetically, or why. Why if there was a specific reason one was before the other. But I think this movie is taken more from a Kong point of view, I guess. You basically see a lot of it set up as here comes Godzilla to get rid of Kong, and so Godzilla is the bad guy here, and so then that kind of makes you kind of think, well, then shouldn't it be Kong versus Godzilla? I mean, I don't know if it matters, but yeah, this movie is definitely spends a lot more time with Kong, than Godzilla, and I guess in the end, you only really get maybe two good fights between the two. Um, so I don't know if that's good or bad on the whole scale of things. You do have um, Godzilla. I mean, not Godzilla. Kong have his own encounter, like I said, with some other creatures at a certain time, and that kind of takes up a little bit there. So. If you were looking for maybe a, kind of put this in boxing terms, if you were looking for a 12-round fight here, you're not going to get it. You're going to get a much shorter fight, which I know doesn't always please fans. I guess there's some that like the quick knockout, and then there's others that want to see it go the distance, or at least into the later rounds here. And I don't think they give you that in this story. So what is the story here? Basically, is Kong, we know, is captured, and then they want to use him to get some source of power, from the center of Earth, and that's supposed to help them deal with the Godzilla problem. That's the basics of it, and then I guess as soon as Kong is basically released from where they have him captive, Godzilla hones in to where he is, and Godzilla's not going to stand for having Kong alive, so he's going to be on the attack. And that's basically what the story is here. And then, like I said, you have a few humans around Kong, a few humans around Godzilla, so it kind of breaks into that as well. And so I think that the first battle here, you have Kong and I think if you've seen either the trailer or a lot of the pictures for this, you see Kong on a aircraft carrier, and basically strapped down. And of course, Godzilla comes, and then that's basically their first big fight. And so here comes the special effects and so forth. And I think if you saw any of the other movies, it's pretty much the same. They do a pretty good job. It looks pretty cool, and it is what it is. I guess it's come a long way since if you look at those old Godzilla, the originals. If you look at it from that standpoint, we've come a long way. But I'm sure there's some people that are going to complain about this and that of this movies. But I guess this is the best way they can almost to bring these two characters alive with the technology and the effects that are given to us now and their choice of doing it. So I'm not going to be too critical of it. I think after you've seen some of the more recent movies with both those characters, you shouldn't be surprised with what you're going to get. I think one of the things in this time around is some of the color effects that are in the background with them, especially in their second or later fight in this movie. I believe it's in Hong Kong, and some of the buildings around are lit up in different colors, and it kind of adds a little flair to it. But yeah, the special effects are what they are. If you really want to complain, you can complain. If you're kind of like me, and you're like, okay, I've seen what they've done so far, and I'm just gonna live with what it is, and I'll take it. So that's pretty much where I am. At first it was kind of like, but now it is what it is. My issue kind of with the first fight was it's just a little awkward to think that you have Kong, who is that big, and he's obviously on this aircraft carrier, which is already holding a huge load, and it's holding him, and it's managing to stay above water. And then here comes Godzilla, and at one point during the fight, they're basically both on top of this, because you want them both to have something to stand on to have a fight, or at least for a couple of minutes. And you're kind of like, okay, well, Kong is pretty heavy, Godzilla's pretty heavy, is the aircraft carrier really going to be able to withstand this, or at least hold above water? So I don't know about the realism there. And I think, it's cool to see them fight in the water, especially Kong at disadvantage, because he basically has to stand on something or be holding on to something. Where Godzilla is a little bit more capable in the water. You kind of see maybe some inconsistency there with, certain ships getting destroyed, certain times, Kong is holding on and flipping it, and I don't know, it's just, when you guys look too closely into what's going on here, maybe it's not as believable. But then again, is it believable that a big ape and a monster are fighting anywhere? So I guess, in a way, you also have to let that go. I don't know. But it was a pretty good, decent battle there to begin with. And then, after that, you kind of have some story filler there, what are the humans trying to do with Kong, blah, 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 and basically leading the road down to where they're going to fight again. And here is where I'm trying to be as spoiler-free as possible. When looking at this, there was a lot of talk, who's going to win? Godzilla going to win? Kong going to win? How could they have a clear winner here? From a movie standpoint and a money standpoint, they want this universe to expand. Is it realistic to think that even though they're going to jam it down our throats, that we're going to have one clear winner here, that Kong is going to die or Godzilla is going to die? I mean, how realistic is that? No matter what they tell you, is that going to happen, or is something else going to happen here that kind of throws everything off? So you basically, as you go through this movie and you head towards the end, you have those, or even going into the movie, there's one of three things that are going to happen. Obviously, you're going to have one of those two win, or they're gonna have, I don't know, call it a twist if you want, or just call it another event happening. Um, and which of those three, are you expecting? So I don't want to say what anybody's expecting. I kind of knew the direction I thought, and yeah, again, I'm gonna try to even hold back and not say the direction that I thought, but um, I, just the way it kind of unfolds, you're like, I was like, okay, so what I thought kind of played out. And then I think, again, if you're into the Godzilla Kong universe or whatever, you might be, happy at certain things that happen, because it just kind of shows you that they dug a little deeper into their universe. Like I said, I'm not the most well versed into their universe. I know there are things that mentioned that probably went over my head, but I know that I think from a fan's perspective, I think when they reference other things, I think that'll make some people happy. Now, whether they read them accurately or to the history of things or whatever, I don't know. That's for people who are into this more than I am. But overall, I think, it was a good action movie. Like I said, I probably could have used another battle between them, at least one more. But I think, they made the most out of with everything that happens in story and wise. And they didn't overdo it. It didn't even seem like it was that long. It was almost 2 hours, so didn't feel like it. So I guess they did a good job of that. And like I said, I think Kong at least was on the screen decent enough. I may have wanted to see a little bit more of Godzilla on the screen, but it doesn't really follow him. So, and he does kind of play the bad guy that they just don't show until it's time to fight. But I think I was all right with that. All right with everything that played out. So I think overall I'm going to give this 3 pools of blood here. 2 big Goliaths here fighting, and the ending was what it was, and was what I expected. So, I think they overall did a good job, and the special effects are what they are, and so forth. So when you kind of look at it picture-wise, when you're looking through the pictures, but when they put it on the screen, it wasn't that bad. So, was it worth the long wait and through COVID and everything? I don't know. But, it is fun to have a new movie back, and it probably would have been nicer to see it in theaters, and I guess that might be one of my regrets. But I did get to watch it in my sort of semi-big screen, but it is what it is. So with that, 3 pools of blood. If you're into the Godzilla Kong thing, check it out. If not, then maybe if you're just into the action movie thing, check it out. Otherwise, it is what it is. So with that, as usual, horrorsquaredreviews.blogspot.com is where you can find more of these video reviews, more written reviews as well. Going back quite a while, tons of reviews on there. Also Twitter, Facebook, information down below. So if you want to hit me up there, talk about this movie, other movies, you want me to review something, we can discuss it there. Always willing to talk horror. And yeah, and I guess we're done with that battle, and we'll see what the future holds for this monster universe now. See what direction they have. I haven't read anything about the direction that they're going to go in next, and I don't know how much they'll comment on that until they let some people see this one. So we'll see. I'll just say the monster universe will continue in one way or the other. So with that, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans, or I should say monster fans.